It's 5 o'clock in the morning. Most of the world is sleeping, but in Puerto del Carmen on the island of Lanzarote, almost 2,000 potential Ironmen and women are approaching 0 hour, when they'll be called upon to test themselves on one of the most spectacular Ironman courses in the world. Ahead of them lay 227 kilometers, which will take them on a tour of Lanzarote, the easternmost of the Canary Islands, only 70 miles off Africa's coast, known for its stark volcanic landscape. It soars to over 2,000 feet from the restless surface of the Atlantic Ocean. The bike section of this race practically circumnavigates the island, and over the course of its 180 kilometer length takes the athletes through over 2,500 meters, 8,500 feet of climbing. The last major eruption of 1730 lasted for 6 years, creating vast lava fields stretching to the sea, engulfing and recreating the entire northwest section of the island. But this is a race of contrasts, from the blackest lava to the brightest sand and to awe-inspiring cliff tops, 600 meters above the Atlantic waters. This race is much more than a grueling bike ride. This is an Ironman, a triathlon where the numbers can be quite staggering. The race starts at 7 in the morning with a 3.8 kilometer swim. That's 2 miles in open water. A warm-up for the 180 kilometer or 112 mile bike ride, where if the weather's kind to you, the prevailing wind won't drain your energy too much, because once you get off the bike, there's a full marathon run of 42.2 kilometers waiting along the southern shore of the sun-kissed island. The fastest time recorded on the Ironman World Championship course in Kona was 8 hours 3 minutes. The fastest time in Lanzarote was almost half an hour slower, 8 hours 30 minutes. You see, here on Lanzarote, the normal limits just don't apply, save one. The final cut-off time is 17 hours. If you don't cross that finish line before midnight, you don't finish. A thought which crosses everybody's mind as we find the athletes gathering on the beach for the 7 a.m. kickoff. It's a special race, Lanzarote, an atmosphere unlike any other. The story is told by the number of friends coming back time after time. Here today, for example, we have veteran double champions Einar Johansson and Bella Bayliss, the former competing and the latter coaching many of today's competitors. One other popular double champion who is competing here for the last time as a professional is Belgium's Bert Jamal.
I think in Belgium we're probably going to have to work till we're 70 years old. I don't think I'm going to be a professional triathlete. I can be able to be a professional triathlete till I'm 70 years old. So I have to work at my future, and I want the stability in life with the family. I want a normal job, and I have also two boys. They're growing very fast, 3 years old and 5-year-olds right now, and I want to do more things with them. So I think working, racing, and having a family, it's really tough. I think I raced 16 races in total on the island, Volcano and Ironman, and I did not finish over here. I won lots of races. I've been on the podium, and honestly, I can remember a broken spoke on the 70.3. I was 6th. I think it's my worst result on the island. Even that is a very good memory for me.
Well, let's hope today's race will provide another good memory for Bert as we're about to commence. Last year's winner, Romain Guillaume, will be doing the honours today. There he is, flanked by race patron Princess Alexia of Greece and Kenneth Gask, the man who brought the Ironman to Lanzarote 24 years ago. And there we have it. The training's all done. It's time for these guys to put their mouth where the money is. 140 miles to go, starting with a swim. It's been a long journey for many of these folks to even get to the start line today. Months and years of preparing the bodies to endure this event, the original of which took place in Hawaii in 1978 with just 15 competitors. The first one in Lanzarote in 1992 started just down the coast in Playa Blanca when 130 triathletes competed. We've got nearly 1,700 people to get into water this morning. With that many bodies looking for space to swim, the odd contact is unavoidable. You can see a lot of congestion there over on the inside track. The guy swimming a little bit wider might have a few more meters to swim, but it's a price many are willing to pay to avoid the bun fight on the ropes. Most of the experienced racers try and pound out that first 400 meters to the first buoy to keep clear of the thrashing hands and feet. Following that first turn, the action settles down to a more realistic rhythm. For those in wetsuits, this is just a start of a very long day at the office. By the end of the first half kilometre, a lead pack starts stretching the line of swimmers out. In the lead at the moment we have Mark Bennett and Stephen Bayliss. Bringing with him Bert Jamar in a black cap, Germany's Christian Kramer in a blue cap, one of the hottest favourites to take the win today. And in the white cap there's Spain's big hope to lift the crown, Miguel Blanchard, the man from Barcelona whose previous excursions to Lanzarote have landed him with 2 second places. Further back down the field, without the benefit of clear water, we find the lead women. In blue, Australian Kate Bevilacqua finds herself a little boxed in, allowing Michi Hellbauer from Austria to pull ahead. Back to the next group, we find Spanish favourite Violeta Castro in a black cap, keeping pace with Germany's Verena Volta. These two are just in front of Diana Reisler, in 5th place at the moment. Having a look up, see where she is. And where are we? Turn 2, halfway around the first lap. And we have Bayliss and Benning leading us around, closely followed by Jamar. Then Will Clark in the red cap, the winner of last year's 70.3, which takes place here on Lanzarote on the other side of the summer every September. In the very dark blue cap we have Christian Kramer making himself a new line there, staying wide and staying safe. He's the man widely tipped by the pros to be the one to watch today, but we cannot discount any of the men in this pack to pull an Ironman win out of the bag. And good morning. Somebody forgot to tell the sun we were starting at 7 today. The weather's been pretty blowy in the last couple of days. The locals would say a little bit breezy. People from more sheltered climes would say it's been blowing a hoolie. At the moment all's well, but we may have some clouds and a little breeze when we go through the mountains on the bike leg following the swim. You can see the wind there quite clearly snapping the flags around what was once the start line and now has been converted into the terminus where the swimmers leave the water for a run around of 20 meters or so and get back in to do it all again. At this halfway point in the lead there, that's Stephen Bayliss nearest to the camera with Mark Bennett on the outside there. A bit dodgy on his feet. Let's not forget Stephen has been recovering from a bout of pneumonia less than 2 months he's been out of his hospital bed. In the green cap we've got Konstantin Backer from Germany, who's got the second fastest bike time here, which he recorded in 2011, the last time he was here. And that group containing Christian Kramer, Guy Crawford come all the way from New Zealand, Auckland, New Zealand, now living in Australia. We're in a white cap there, still hanging on to that lead group. We've got Miguel Blanchard. In the women's race, Michi Hellbauer comes out of the water a good way ahead of second place. Oops, careful. It's a bit difficult transforming from swimming legs to running legs. An Australian invention, this half-time run. And speaking of Australians, Kate Bevilacqua coming out in second place. Whoop, get out of the way, she's not hanging about. She's in a little bit of a hurry. No wonder, because just behind her, as you can see there, just splashing into the water now. In the black cap, we had Violeta Castro in third place. And right on the shoulder of Kate Bevilacqua, just a little bit behind them, we've got Diana Reisler. The German is now in the water, and that's our top 4 at the moment. But that's only 1.9 kilometers done. Another 223 to go. We can have a closer look at Violeta Castro here, the Gallega from the northwest tip of Spain, economical with her strokes, shadowing Bevilacqua around this course. Her best result, third here in 2013. Bevilacqua's last trip here ended with a DNF in 2011. Michi Hellbauer enjoying the luxury of clear water. Quite choppy this morning, but at least she's swimming without feet in her face. And speaking of feet, who let the crabs out? I won't park. Teeming with life around this island, the Biosphere Reserve, which the locals are very proud to point out. Swimmers training here on days leading up to the event talk at length about the quantity of fish they see as they're grinding out their training laps. We're approaching the end of the swimming section of the race now, and the lead hasn't changed significantly. They're swimming through some of the back markers, some of the slower age groupers. They've got 2 hours 20 to get round. We're coming up to 50 minutes now, approaching 50 minutes, and there goes Mark Bennett out the water in first place, Stephen Bayliss in second, that's Guy Crawford in third, Will Clark and Christian Kramer close together in fourth and fifth. It's quite a long jog up to collect their bikes, up through the transition zone. They've got to run up the beach, collect their bags, change into their gear, and up onto the asphalt and away. And Mitchie Hellbauer still swimming, getting some help and advice there from the guy in the kayak. I'm not sure whether he knows that she's looking the other way, but there we go. Stephen Bayliss, first of his bike, fast transition, good swimmer, followed closely by Kramer and Jamar, and there's Will Clark in the background and Konstantin Bakker. So it's these 5 guys leading up. Stephen, we're not sure how strong he is. I mean, remember he's recovering from a bout of pneumonia. He's only 2 months out of the hospital bed. So we'll see how he gets on for the bike ride. As Mitchie Hellbauer from Austria comes out of the water in first place, sneaking past the camera there was Soleta Castro in second place now, with Kate Bevilacqua in third. Soleta's not slouching through there. Neither is Mitchie as she heads up the beach. From the beach, it's maybe a 10-meter run up the slope. It's on carpet, of course, but still a long way. Nevertheless, we've got 2,000 bikes to fit in that bike park, so they've got to run through all of those to find their own. And here we go, Mitchie in a good lead at the moment, heading out onto this 180-kilometer bike ride. Now this pair coming into the pick up their bikes together. Bevilacqua in front there, goes for her bike with Soleta Castro grabbing hers and leaving first. That's Soleta Castro in the black and pink, and Kate Bevilacqua in the red and black, and in the pink and black. It's going to get confusing out there for the spotters. Diane Riesler takes her bike in fourth place. She's a couple of minutes behind the other girls, but it's well within her power to make up that difference. We can travel back down to the beach where we've got 1,600 swimmers to get out of the water through that transition zone and on their bikes. It's a non-stop process. Like I said before, they've got until 9:20 to officially finish this swim. But right now we can have a quick look and see the official timings for the race leaders at this point. And there's Mark Bennett and Stephen Bayliss there, 48:11. Nothing much in between them at all. Mitchie Hellbauer to Diane Riesler, we've got 2 minutes 20 in between those two. But 2 minutes 20 across a space of 180 kilometers. We've seen heroics happen in the past. And who could forget the year in 2010 when Katrina Morrison overturned 25 minutes. She had to sit on the side of the road with a broken bike chain. She overturned that and went on to win with 1.5 minutes to spare. It's still anybody's race here in Lanzarote. Join us for more after the break. And welcome back to Lanzarote, where we find Bert Jamar has kindly taken the lead from Stephen Bayliss, who was predicted was lacking in race pace on the bike. Along the back straight leaving Puerto del Carmen, Konstantin Bakker made his presence felt straight away, taking the lead and pushing the early pace. Will Clark is riding along in third, with Christian Kramer propping them all up as the fourth guy in this lead pack. And speaking of guys, Guy Crawford, aka Captain Awesome in some circles, comes crashing into the party. Came all the way from Perth with his partner Kate Bevilacqua to join the race today. Never won an Ironman, but with a healthy stash of 70.3 titles to his name, he is no slouch. And indeed, by the end of the first little climb, has moved up to third place ahead of Will Clark, who, to be honest, is not looking too comfortable on his wheels today. He's also shoved back in the order, relinquishing his fourth place to Christian Kramer, about who I said earlier is strongly tipped to take this year's title. We caught up with Christian in La Santa earlier in the week and asked him about his decision to turn professional.
Yeah, it was a kind of, am I gonna study more or getting serious, or trying to take that only one chance I've got being young and trying to be a sportsman and doing your hobby, trying to make a living out of it. And yeah, that's why I try to becoming pro, and it's getting better and better with the results. And yeah, when you're racing big races like Frankfurt or Kona, you're mostly cycling in the pack for the first 100k, and then really the game begins when people like Kienle or other guys who are coming from the back trying to crash the groups, and that's what you don't expect for Lanzarote. I think after the swim, probably 3 or 4 or 5 guys will be first out of the water, and then everyone's on his own. I think there could be some big gaps even after the first 100k or after the bike.
He's called it just about perfectly. Here we are approaching 30k at the village of Yaisa, and we have a group of 4 taking turns to lead as we head down to the coast. Christian steps up and takes point for a stint. With a steady tailwind, the big gears can come out on this long, shallow downhill stretch. It's still early, before 9, and there's still a touch of the night's chill in the air. These guys are cranking out over 70, as you can see. They're demonstrated by Captain Awesome there. At the 15k mark, the women are jostling for position 2. Hellbauer leads, going up the hill, while Soletta seems a little more relaxed and heads down the order, being passed by Reisler and then Bevilacqua too. Soletta told us earlier this week that this race is the start of a 2-year training plan. So in 2017, watch this space. And this space, about 100 metres between Bevilacqua and Reisler. The pair of them chasing this lady now. Mitchie Hellbauer, trained by Bella Bayliss, who won here twice, podiumed on 2 other occasions. It would be quite difficult to find a coach who knew more about winning on this heavy rock. The working salt flats, Las Salinas de Janubia, mark the entrance into the stunning coast road to El Golfo. You can stop up and buy a bag of fresh salt there anytime you like, but these 4 guys certainly don't have the time for tourist pursuits today, as they power their way along the undulating, twisting road carved between the Timon Fire Devil and the deep blue sea. In this lead group then, Christian Kramer leads, 4th in Melbourne 2 months ago, very much in form. In 2nd, the veteran, Bert Yamar. In 3rd, we have Konstantin Bakker, and in 4th place, Guy Crawford. Trailing in 5th, we have Will Clark. And in 7th place, we see Alessandro De Gasperi clawing his way closer to the leading riders, who right now are taking on valuable liquids as the race starts to get real and the hills get switched into the up position for a while. Miguel Blanchard there in 6th place says goodbye to sea level, and we can check out how the women's race is developing. Still leading, Mitchie Hellbauer, the Austrian, was 5th in Austria last year. Very popular with the photographers today. But then again, it's pretty hard to take a bad picture on Lanzarote. It's that beautiful. And so with Kate Bevilacqua holding on to 3rd place, we can take some time to look a bit further back down the field and see who we've got in the contest today. Number 7, that's Amy Forshaw from England, won Ironman Wales last year. Number 25, Elena Stevens from Slovakia. And number 6, Emma Mullen from Ireland, champion in the UK and Mallorca, Yet to be an Irish athlete on the podium here. There's a first time for everything. Could be today. Today, of course, we're back at the front. We find Bert Yamar leading the race. No stranger to these roads, with a good head of steam on the pull-up to and through the Timofire National Park, where it's still possible, should you need the break from the saddle, to wallow up the mountains on the back of a camel. I wonder what he thinks of all this. He'll be probably happy with a few hours rest, as all hard work is being undertaken by the bipeds today. But forget undertaking, we got some overtaking going on. Christian Kramer, the young German, has sprung once more into action, but this time like he means it, soon opening a good gap between himself and the rest of the riders. We'll leave the men there for now and return down the women's list to find another new pro from the Kingdom of Yorkshire, England, Caroline Livesey.
I made the decision at the end of last year, having done fairly well as an age grouper, that I could either continue to, run the age group race and do well there, or I could challenge myself against some of the best athletes in the world and just give it a go. And I did my first pro race in South Africa back in March, and although I knew it would be different, I wasn't prepared for quite how different the race dynamic is, racing as a professional. So I think I'm coming into this one a lot more prepared. I'm involved with a charity called Ironman for the Kids, which is a South African charity which has grown out of the Ironman race there, and it is now affiliated with Ironman, but it's really just grown because of the local people wanting to make good of the race coming to Port Elizabeth and very poor areas around there. There's a lot of underprivileged children, and the welfare system doesn't support them like it does in other parts of the world, so those kids would be on the streets if it weren't for some of the charity work that's done. Visiting those children and just being around the charity the few days building up to the race really gave me a different purpose when I was racing there, and it's being out on the marathon route and seeing the support from the children and them cheering and everything. It blew me away. The warmth from the community and just being involved with that was fantastic.
Well, good luck to Caroline there, raising some funds for her charity. There are many athletes raising money for others today, although by the end of some of these climbs we might see a few of them pleading for assistance. The wind's picking up and unfortunately it's blowing down the hills as they ride up them. Right now though, Caroline feels the need to move up some places, which she definitely does, and moves into the top 10. A few places ahead of her, as around the 50k mark, we pass by 4th place woman, Verena Volta. She's won a 70.3 in Mallorca and a good healthy smattering of top 10 places. 3rd in Zurich's best full result so far. Hello. She knows we're talking about her. Moving quickly to the head of the women's race, we find Diane Reisler charging into the lead. The first woman Mitch has seen for nearly 60k, and she's gone again. Skips around the camera bike, and she's our new leader. There we go, Diane Reisler from Germany. Leaving the lava fields now, we find Will Clark rejoining civilization in the village of Mancha Blanca, looking very nervous on that bike. Been alone for a long time, and that won't do his confidence any good. Behind him, Miguel Blanchard appears a little bit more together, 60k in and a third of this bike split over. And we're now past this swim cut-off time, so we should have everyone on the road who's going to be there in a long line back to Puerto del Carmen. Age groupers all, we salute you. Without these guys we wouldn't have a race, but they keep coming back year after year from all over the globe to claim their medals as Lanzarote Ironmen. There's lots of little competitions going on in those groups, with over 1,600 amateur triathletes battling to win one of those 50 coveted places available today to compete in a World Championship race in Kona later in the year. That's all these grown-ups chasing one of Willy Wonka's golden tickets. Well, that's charming. Now, one woman who has travelled many hours to get here is Taiwan's only professional woman athlete, Xiao Yu Li. Not had the best start to her campaign so far. She arrived on Tuesday. Her luggage and bike arrived yesterday.
Why Lanzarote? Because I've never been to New York, and this is my first time, so I want to come out and see. And people say it's a really beautiful place, so yeah, that's why I'm here. The usually is Europe or America. The competition is pretty tough. I know it's really tough. It's kind of different in Asia. So if I come here, I can, because my competition is really tough, so I can push myself so hard and get a good time or try to enjoy the race, I think. My friends come here before, and she told me it's a really tough race, especially the cycling. They're very hilly. I love hilly, so wow, I think that would be a perfect race for me.
We did that interview with her in Club La Santa an hour after stepping off the plane. At yesterday's press conference, following 3 days wrecking the course, she announced that the friend who told her to come here was no longer her friend. Joking aside, she's moving closer to this lady, Diana Riesler, picking up some experienced scalps on the way. And now, Miguel Blanchard, I'm not sure if he's aware, but behind him closing fast is the Italian, De Gasperi. Been out for a while injured, but looks to be over that now. As we arrive at the midpoint on this bike course, the old capital of Lanzarote, which has taken us about 3.5 hours. 10:30 in the morning, and we see Christian Kramer, who's built over a minute's lead now between himself and the chasers, Konstantin Bakker and Bert Dumar. Guy Crawford's awesomeness is beginning to slip, but he's hanging on to fourth. De Gasperi, on the other hand, is really making progress now, having taken sixth from Blanchard on that climb to Tegisi. There's still time for Blanchard. He did come in 10th off the bike a couple of years ago and did finish second, but De Gasperi looks to be the one to watch at the moment. It's still anybody's race here on Lanzarote as we pause for a moment. We'll be right back with our crack camera crew after the break.
Con wifi y todo, somos los bomba.
Welcome back to Lanzarote, where the Ironman is well underway now. The men are through the halfway point on the race, and the women are approaching that 90-kilometre marker in Tegisi, leaving the sand dunes of Famara behind. Now this is where the work begins, and we see who has saved enough to dominate this next 40 kilometres of climbs up to the northern tip of the island. And at 4 hours and 5 into the race, about 11:05 in the morning, half an hour behind the lead men, Diane Riesler takes the women's charge through Tegisi, with Michi Helbauer there holding second, a minute or so ahead of Kate Bevilacqua in third. Doing well, the Australian there. Best result here was 6th place. She's won 3 Ironman, Western Australia, Korea and Kentucky. Hoping to add this one to her raft. Volta is still there in 4th, but for how much longer is anyone's guess, as Caroline Livesey is breathing hard down the neck. And we leave the pro race there with Saletta in 6th and head back down the field into the age groupers, where somewhere in there we can find Hector Garrion from Las Palmas, number 1100. A serving member of the Spanish Navy, and if you ever thought you had difficulty finding space to train, just check out this chap's story. You'll never complain again. Hector Garrion.
I was deployed in a Spain Navy ship since August of 2014 until the end of December. In a European community operation for the maritime security, anti-piracy, anti-terrorism in the area of Somalia and the Indian Ocean. I like to practice this sport, the triathlon, I try to do my best in order to train in spite where I am. It's a real challenge to wake up every day, to train in your bike, in your trainer, to run in a flight deck, a small flight deck, 30 meters across 15 meters, always doing rounds and rounds and rounds. I don't know how many. Sometimes we use all the long of the ship, but every day use the flight deck only to run and round and round and round, change the direction every 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Too much CrossFit, gymnastics, plyometrics, and other exercise to substitute the swimming. When we stop during the deployment, when we stop in different countries for resting days, I could swim in different beaches and different places, just for clean my mind. Today, when I swam this morning, you can see all the fishes. You can see the deep. But tomorrow, the water is boiling.
Well, the water certainly was boiling this morning, but Hector survived intact and he's doing very well. About midway down the pack of athletes, we have chasing this guy, race leader Christian Kramer, leading the charge up to the highest point of the course at El Mirador de Aria. Now Konstantin Bakker in second place and Bert Jamar in third. Bert Jamar steps up, making a move against Konstantin Bakker, who today is not looking like breaking any course records. He had a time of 4:47 back in 2011, only the second man to go under 4:50 in the history of this race. And it's notorious 180 kilometers of windy hills. The windmills are fairly whipping around today, but Bert's seen it all. Spent a year living and training here. He's probably seen every weather this rock in the middle of the Atlantic has to offer. At the top of the highest peak on the course, 600 meters above sea level, we find Kramer at the special needs station there, where normally there's a stunning view down to the coast, but the clouds have yet to rise above the peaks this morning. Not that I think you'll find anyone complaining today. A bit of cloud cover should be welcome following a climb of 600 meters in the last 20 kilometers. The special needs station stores bags packed by the athletes themselves, a welcome break for many with food, drink, letters from home, whatever comforts they pack to give them that extra boost through the latter stages of this bike tour. Starting with a switchback descent into the northern town of Aria, where the 1,000 palms grow. Historically, 2 for a boy, 1 for every girl born in the valley. Not sure how many you get for a donkey or a goat, but a welcome blast of greenery to fill the lungs to climb to here. And Yamar now in second place, pumping those legs, climbing up to here. Mirador del Rio, looking out at the 8th Canary Island, La Graciosa, from where the women used to row to these cliffs to collect all the fresh water they needed to live for tough conditions. Tough people. And there was Konstantin Bakker struggling a little bit harder than we thought, as Guy Crawford passed him as well. Not far behind them, Diane Riesler leads the charge of the women. Kate Bevilacqua still strong in third, but not far ahead of Livesey now, who's got a podium place in her sights. Soletta's hanging tough there, climbing the 50 steepest meters on the course, about 1 kilometer to go to the top of the cliffs, and Mitchie Hellbauer, who is still riding along strongly in second place. The line of athletes stretches forever backwards. Many battles happening in those numbers. Too many to call, as every group is battling for those coveted Kona slots up for offer today. 40 in total between the age groupers, The pros have a different system in place these days. In times gone by, there were 10 pro slots, 7 for the men and 3 for the women, but now they have to pick up points throughout the season, which places them on a league table of professional triathletes. The top 40 more or less qualifying for the World Championship race in the autumn. 2,000 points on offer to the winner today, with normally an average of 4,000 points more or less securing a place to the start line in Hawaii. The age groupers have it differently, with the fastest in each category being offered the entry spot. If they turn it down, well then the second fastest is offered the slot, and so on and so forth until we have 40 of our racers here going on to meet the best of the rest of the world. It's been mentioned many times before, but there are a few places in the world better suited to prepare a triathlete for the rigours of Kona than this stunning volcanic island, which has earned its reputation over the years as one of the toughest races on the circuit. We've got an average fail rate of about 9%. I'm sure it'd be much higher if not for the support of the many spectators along the route. A long time some of these spectators have been waiting here to meet their friends and family. Go on, Dad, you can do it. With the cresting of Mirador del Rio, the race hits the home straight and a ride back to Puerto del Carmen with a welcome tailwind following. As we work our way back to the leaders, we find Caroline Livesey made some headway over the top section of the course and fought herself up to 3rd place. Here we go, leapfrogging to the very front. About 30 kilometers on, we find Christian Kramer riding through La Heria. Not far to go now to the second transition. Since De Guise, he's built about a 4-minute advantage over second place Bert Jamar. And into T2 he goes, the last transition of the day. We're about 3 hours now from the finish line. 3 hours and 26 miles from victory and the crowning of 2015's champion. Christian's eager. He was yet to win an Ironman, was 4th in Melbourne back in March. His best result was last year in Austria, where he finished in 2nd place in a time of 7 hours and 54. Bert's been here before, won twice, and now knows exactly how far he's got to go to chase this win. In 3rd place now, into T2, we have the Italian Alessandro De Gasperi. He's been out injured for most of the year, but no sign of any niggles now as he strides out onto the marathon course. 26 miles to go to see if he's timed it right to overhaul the veteran and the favourite. Don't go away, we'll be right back. And welcome back to Ironman Lanzarote 2015, where you join us in La Heria, in the centre of the island, famed for its fine wines. Fine wines. Michi Hellbauer, the Austrian, riding between the vines, which lay protected from the wind in pits lined with pecan, a volcanic rock which prevents water leaving the soil. It truly is a wilderness tamed by years of ingenuity. But back in town, in Puerto del Carmen, our women's leader, Diane Reisler, puffs up in T2. Tremendous lead of 18 minutes built up on that bike split. She's won twice in Malaysia, been on or around the UK podium, and definitely got the experience to take this race all the way. Surely it's hers to lose. Unless this woman has anything to do with it. 2nd place. Michaela Hurlbauer, 5th in Austria last year. With a few wins at shorter distance races, did she have the stamina after 2 hard events? We'll see. And Caroline Livesey, has she got further to go up the rankings? In the marathon, anything can happen. And speaking of surprises, look who else we should find in transition 2 at the same time as the girls. Einar Johansson, 2-time champion of Lanzarote.
So tired.
How was that? Was it just like you remembered?
Yeah, you know, all of a sudden it starts to cramp and it's way much longer than it used to be. But I enjoyed it. Nice and windy and yeah, it's a great day. Come on legs, come on legs! Not too old, please.
This is today's leader, Christian Kramer, but Einar Johansson saying he's getting a little bit old for this now. Don't believe it. He's as strong as a horse, it's a lad. He's got hands like dinner plates, and you know when you've shaken his hand. 10 years since his first win here, and doing very well today. So that was Christian Kramer there, passing the turn point of the first lap of this run course. They got to run 3 laps, 1 long one, 2 short ones. And here we are at the end of that first long loop, at approximately 10 kilometers into the 42. We see Bert Jamar, about 400 meters behind Christian and the same distance in front of De Gasperi. Our leading group of 3, you can never discount Bert. He got the fastest marathon split here a couple of years ago after a horrendous bike ride, after which he contemplated throwing the towel in. But this man in third, De Gasperi, is chipping away at Bert's time advantage. It's a game of strategy at this stage in the Ironman day, but too rash a start could leave a body wanting after the first half marathon. As he takes Bert at the 18k mark, he was 10 minutes behind Kramer at T2. He's already made up 5 minutes and 1 place before halfway. In a women's race, Reisler holds a commanding lead and doesn't appear to be letting a foot off the gas at all. A quick acknowledgement there to our Taiwanese visitor, who is running a blinder, sneaking closer to the podium with every step. A quick review of positions at the 15k mark show no change in the top 3. Reisler, Hurlbauer and Livesey. The Yorkshire lass doing well. Only a minute slower than Hurlbauer on the bike, a good deal slower on the run, so at the moment with no real prospects of advancing in the lists, but with every reason to be fearful of slipping off a podium place, as Charlie is running approximately 15 seconds quicker over every kilometre, more or less at the same rate as Hurlbauer. At the head of the race we find Kramer, still with a good steady rhythm, but his steps are shuffling more around that final turn. The end's in sight, only 5 kilometres to go till that prize. But also in sight is De Gasperi. The Italian has chipped away steadily at Kramer's lead, cutting it down to 40 seconds. And now, only a few hundred metres from the turn, De Gasperi pounces. Kramer's got to be heartbroken. He's been out front since Tim and Fire this morning, only to see, 5 hours later, only 4 kilometres from the line, his lead vanish. But no tears from this guy, only tears of joy, as Alessandro De Gasperi bounces into the line. He's measured his run to perfection and swept on to victory. A swim at 51.10, bike 5 hours 12 and 12 seconds, and one of the fastest marathons in the 24-year history of the race, 2 hours 47 and 15 seconds. The champion of the 2015 Lanzarote Ironman, Alessandro De Gasperi, with a total time of 8 hours 56 minutes and 49 seconds. Not the fastest in history, but the wind added time to everybody's bike splits today. And in second place, a valiant effort from Christian Kramer. Thwarted in the closing stages, he still wins nearly $3,000, a medal, and there's going to be finisher t-shirts for everybody today. In third, Mara Barch from Switzerland. A good steady performance there. running a 2:54 marathon, and he's sporting a natty 2 hat thing there. All the kids will be doing the same thing next year. Indeed, it was a day for the runners, as Miguel Blanchard ran the second fastest marathon of the day to come home in 4th place. And a nice moment there as double champions Bert Jamar and Einola share the final home straight. Unfortunately, Einola's got one more loop to go. Fortunately for Bert, he's coming home to keep his top 5 record intact. Has been a great friend to the island and a fantastic race ambassador. Give him a few months of being run around by his 2 small boys, and he'll think the Ironman was easy. Good luck, sir. And now we'll hear from our new champion.
I planned last year to do 2 other Ironmans in Mallorca and in Arizona, but in August in Salamzee I had an injury, so I had to finish my season, and it was so bad. But in January I had a surgery, and then rehabilitation, and I started training again in March, and I focused with this race because I know that it's very hard, and the swim is not so important, because on the bike you are really alone because of the wind and the hilly, and it's a really true Ironman, because drafting is impossible. It's no choice to do. So it's really a race against yourself, and I demonstrate to be an Ironman.
He certainly was an Ironman today, as are all the people who finished this stunning beachfront marathon course before midnight. Everybody who does so is a winner. They all come from different places, but all have the same goal, the same destination. And although they can all win, there can be only one champion. Our leader, from the moment she overtook Hurlbauer in the National Park of Timanfaya over 200 kilometers ago, with splits of 55:40 for her swim, an immense bike ride of 5:37 and a run of 3:16:20 with a total time of 9:56:03 from Germany, Diane Riesler. Totally smashed her rivals today, almost 18 minutes ahead of Michi Hellbauer. The Austrian hangs on to second place to be greeted by her partner in crime, Danny Hellbauer, who also had a top 10 finish in the men's race. Happiness in Austria this evening. Our Yorkshire lass, Caroline Livesey, holds on to a 3rd place. The relatively new pro has done a job well, holding off the fastest runner of the day, Xiao Li, who comes home in 4th. A hard day for everyone. Now let's hear from our champion and see how her day went.
For me, I think the swim was not so good, and then I had to make almost 3 minutes on the bike to the first woman. And the wind was really crazy. It was us pushing around, and sometimes I felt that I couldn't finish because it's like, I have to stop. But then I remembered what my coach said: put the head down, make you small, and then just push it through. And I did it. It's a great feeling. I wished it from the beginning, and the dream come true. So it's great.
Well, her dreams certainly did come true today, as they did for Alessandro De Gasperi. A few more dreams to go for the people further down the lists. But with a final chat on the finish line, we catch up one more time with Bert Jamar.
I did everything I could, and I had a strong bike. But after 20k in the run, I had a really difficult moment, and I'm very happy I could pick up the speed a little bit again and I could finish top 5. I raced 8 times Lanzarote and I never fell out top 5, so it's okay. Yeah, I love this island and I love this race. And then maybe I come back to do it as an age grouper, but let's see what the future brings.
Well, the near future for the age groupers left out in the run as the sun goes down is linked to time ticking on the clock and the overwhelming desire to run through that finish line and be declared an Ironman. Well, just after dusk, our sailor, Hector, crosses the line and picks up his medal. He won in the end, as did nearly 1,500 other men and women. And as the last runner comes home, all that's left for us to do is bid you hasta la próxima, next year's 25th anniversary Ironman of Lanzarote.